this is Entendre, and today I'm going to show you how to use the new Reason Rack plugin's brand new features in 11.2. So let's load up the VST3 version. If you don't see that in Ableton Live, you got to go to Plugins and enable the VST3 folder. I just did the system folders in this case, but you can also do a custom folder, and it should show up. So next thing, you just load that up, and you'll see the most used devices up here. And one of the brand new devices is this Midi out device, which allows you to send Midi notes right into Ableton. So let's just go ahead and load up an instrument. We'll use the Red Drum computer, and let's go ahead and make a pattern. Now if I go over here to this Midi 2 and select Reason Rack plugin and set monitor to in, and then I hit tab, and we actually route the CV out to the gate in. Now you see the kick showing up right here. And I could actually record it in or put another instrument on there. So we could grab, say, an operator. And so that's how Midi out works. You just route it into another track from using the Midi from here and set it to in or auto with record enabled. Now if you want to send CV signal, unfortunately in Ableton Live they said that you can't yet because of some sort of limitation sending CV from between plugins and tracks. But I found a workaround that I'll share, and basically all you have to do is create a new track, and we'll just drag the Reason Rack plugin in there. Let's get rid of this default rack, and now if we open up the instead of the Midi out device, we'll just use Thor Polysonic Synthesizer. And if we expand or show the programmer and reset the device, now we can go ahead and hide the oscillator and the filter because we don't need them. And we're basically just disabling everything, and then we'll just turn up the sustain on the amp envelope here. And now we're just going to go ahead and select CV1 as a source, and then we're going to turn the amount all the way up, and as the destination we're going to choose audio 1. Now you're going to want to be careful because if you route CV signal to your speakers, supposedly it can do damage, and so yeah, be mindful of that. Maybe do your own research there. But it's usually best practice to mute CV signals going to your speakers. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to mute this track, and I'm going to rename it Modulator. And now, basically, I can load this up with any kind of effect. So we're going to use synchronous effect modulator. I'm going to hold shift so it doesn't connect anything automatically. And I'm also going to create a built-in device. Let's see, actually under utilities we're going to use the Pulsar Dual LFO. And so if I hit tab, now we can go ahead and connect the curve out into the CV1, and with this one, we're actually going to drag it into a different, we're going to make a duplicate of this, and we're just going to, in this top one, we're going to delete the pulsar, and in the bottom one, we'll delete the synchronous, and we'll run the pulsar CV output to the CV1. So now we have two of these modulators, one with pulsar and one with synchronous. And now what? We're going to go ahead and pull in the CV in effect from Max for Live. It's part of the new CV tools, which I'll leave a link to in the description. But we're just going to drag CV in right after this rack, and also right after this rack. So now I can close those, and let's just go ahead and say, well, let's say this is modulator 1 and this is modulator 2, and we can go ahead and take CV from, and we're going to choose instrument rack, because we're on track 3 with the instrument rack on it, and then we're going to go to the modulator 2 pre-effects, and then on the other one over here, we're going to go to instrument rack modulator 1 pre-effects. Then we're going to select DC for both, and let's see, the pulsar, we're going to make the polarity is bi, and for the modular or the synchronous effect, it's actually unipolar. And we're going to turn the range all the way up to 10. We can turn the level here on the pulsar all the way up, and you can see that reflected in the CV in right here. And so that's showing that it's working. Now we can actually map this to anything. So let's see, if I were to delete this, and let's just add, say, an operator, and let's go ahead and map this to level, and now we can go over to this one and map it to the frequency. Now if I play this, we get a pretty interesting effect. So let's go back over here, and we can adjust this synchronous, so we can try preset. So we're using this yellow one because we use CV1. And we can use this to draw in our own patterns. You can change the speed here. So it's quite powerful. We can change these independently now. I can put this on, say, a random effect. nice thing is these don't have to be on different tracks. I could actually drag this right over here into the instrument rack. And now if I play it on this track, and you can also use the envelope follower in Max for Live. It works just about exactly the same, but you do have these rise and fall controls. Yeah, so quite a lot of possibilities there. And so where there's a will, there's a way. And one of the other great new features inside of the Reason plugin would be the ability to drag Midi into the plugin, or into the Ableton rather. So you can just open this up, and if you program a pattern in here, then you'll see this new blue icon here, and you can just drag it straight into your track. Now if I turn off the pattern here, I can just play it straight from Ableton Live. And you have this with Red Drum, the Dr. Octorex, and you have it with the Matrix Pattern Sequencer, wherever that may be. It's in Utilities. So all of those have it, and it makes it a quite powerful tool, as you can just go in here and randomize stuff and then drag it into your track and give it a shot. That's pretty sweet. And so yeah, that's a great new feature, very welcomed. Show you another awesome new feature. So if we create a new track here, drag a new Reason Rack plugin, they've added a new player. So if we go down here to players, now we have this beatmap algorithmic drummer. And so we can just go ahead and route it using the Midi out device, as I showed earlier, which is automatically connected. And so we could route it straight into Ableton. And I'll do a little demo of that first. So create a Midi track. We'll put a drum rack there. And then we'll take Midi from Reason Rack 5, Reason Rack plugin, monitor to in. And now, if I play this, you'll see these start to light up. So all I have to do is load up some different samples there. So I'll go over here. So let's put a snare drum there. kick here. Alright, so let's search for hi-hat. And we can load that here, and then let's get an open one for here. And then let's get some perk. So we'll just get some one shots. That'll do. And so now let's go ahead and play it back. So this is the algorithmic drummer. I'll just mute everything else so we can just hear that. And basically you can move this XY around to change the patterns. You can also turn up these mirror knobs to add in some of the other percussion. And you can change the density of the kick and the snare and the hi-hat and the percussion here. You also have several different maps. So this is the temperate mix beats, the big melting pot. You have arid, straight and dry, house pop 4 on the floor, which sounds like this. Then you have this lava map, which is described as hot, fluid, funky breaks and grooves. That sounds like this. And then you have this uncharted weirdness, exotic duplets and traplets. So yeah, you get the idea. It's very, very versatile, and you can randomize the density here. Or the span or spawn XY. And you can also Midi learn, which we're not going to go into here just yet. I haven't tried that yet. But you also have a shuffle here. and you can change the rate. Yeah, so very cool new feature, and yeah, I guess that basically concludes what's available in the new Reason 10 or 11.2 release. And there's some bug fixes. I'll leave the full release notes in the description. But hope you've enjoyed. Hope you've learned something. And until next time, have a wonderful day. Keep making music. Peace.